Hey everybody, welcome back to the Firefighters Podcast. How have you been? Today on the podcast, I welcome Phil Maynard, who is a member of West Sussex Fire and Rescue Service and also the proud creator of Helping Hoodies. Helping Hoodies is a not-for-profit organisation aiming to support people who work in our emergency services and their families through regular donations to the Firefighters charity. Now, I'm sure you all know who the Firefighters charity is, but they offer specialist lifelong support for members of the UK Fire Service community, empowering individuals to achieve mental, physical and social well-being. What Phil has done during an incredibly challenging pandemic-ridden time is pretty awesome. He has started making hoodies for fire services to give them their pride back. We speak a lot in this episode about pride, about belonging to the fire service, about the willingness to develop and grow and keep all that is rich and deep and good within the fire service. Phil's Hoodies and Helping Hoodies in general is about bringing that bit of pride back. Bringing that ability for people to fall back in love with their own fire service, giving them a badge back, giving them pride to wear their uniform, wear something that represents their service outside of the service. It's all about help me and let me help you. They give 100% of the proceeds to the Firefighters charity. It's such a powerful episode. I really love Phil. He's such a wealth of knowledge from the UK Fire Service, and he shares a lot of this today. We talk about where's the fire service 20 years ago and where is it now? I know you're going to enjoy this episode. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for listening in. We are once again sponsored by the wonderful William Wood Watches. William Wood Watches, guess what? They also give money to the Firefighters charity. That's right, folks. Nothing but goodness around here. Head over to williamwoodwatches.com to check out their beautiful fire service watches. Made from 100% recycled fire service equipment, once forgotten, now reborn. williamwoodwatches.com. Check it out. Let's welcome Phil to the podcast. Here we go. Phil, welcome to the Firefighters Podcast.
Thank you.
How are we doing, brother?
Yeah, good. Great to be here.
Thank you, my man. I saw your Helping Hoodies brand recently, because West Sussex have recently purchased a load of them, and I wasn't sure what it was. I saw it bounce up on a few Instagram feeds. I went deep into it and started listening to the logo and how it started. And then you and I had a conversation, and I was like, oh my days, Phil, we've got to get you on. We've got to have a chat with you because more people need to hear this. So for anybody that's not sure, you're an operational station manager in the UK. And what is Helping Hoodies and why are we sat here today?
So Helping Hoodies is the company I set up to sell hoodies to fire service personnel and raise money for the Firefighters charity.
Which is a very, very noble thing in itself. There's a lot of firefighters charity work goes on all over the UK. I think they've actually suffered a little bit during this just pandemic, so it's really important that people suggest yourself for doing this. But what is different about this? Because I mean, I did an ambulance pull the other year, and a lot of people do like lots of fitness challenges or shaving their heads or whatever. But the story behind this was deeper than that, because there's a whole cultural thing going on here.
Yeah, so this is nothing to do with the Firefighters charity or selling hoodies, really. This is about culture in the fire service and emergency services as a whole. It's about how we as individuals, how we as firefighters feel about the services that we're in. It's about bringing back the pride in our services. We've had 10 years or so of austerity and cuts and strikes and pensions troubles. And firefighters are feeling beaten down. Yeah,
some of it was necessary.
Yeah,
we didn't necessarily need to go to war as such. Not that we did or didn't, but there were necessary steps to be taken. But it feels like we've not had any elements of any periods of levity and enjoyment.
Absolutely,
and when do we reinvest in the pride and the passion and we feel like we've almost dampened the fire so much. If we're not careful, it's going to go out here.
Absolutely. And if you talk to firefighters, the passion is absolutely still there about why we do the job that we do and that we love it. But I do feel that they've had such a beating over recent years. And one of the key factors of that was a number of services had their badges taken off their uniforms, which led to, in my opinion, a loss of identity.
My service in the UK, they had their badge taken away as well. There was costing, there was cultural, there was some political, but no matter what the why and the cause behind it, it did cause a lot of damage, and a lot of people associate a lot of pride with that.
Yeah, absolutely. we talk about the badge as something that you earn the right to wear, and you wear it with pride, and that doesn't just go for firefighters, that goes for the support staff, that goes for our friends and families that enable us to do the job that we do.
It's as much of a symbol as it is anything else as well, isn't it? It stands for something.
Yeah.
I think for the police force and stuff like that, their symbol, their shield, as it's sometimes referred to as, can be fairly similar all across like the UK, and then America will have one that's very similar all across America.
Yeah.
But with the fire services, and I think you find this a lot of places, they tend to wind into the badge some real cultural aspects, some real local significance, whether it's crests or different types of emblems, things that are significant to those brigades. And some people that may just see a badge and think of it as an arbitrary badge, it stands for a lot more for a lot of people.
Well, absolutely. And to me, it's not just about the badge. This is about your watch colour, your station.
Yeah.
Every tribe that we belong to means something to us. And that goes for any walk of life, any human being. We all want to belong.
We do.
And as soon
chemically,
as
we need to. Yeah. Because back in caveman times, if you didn't belong to a tribe, you were dead.
It's part of your limbic brain. It's your survival mechanism.
Absolutely.
And, you can go back to, we all want to be loved, because if you're not loved, you're ostracised and you don't survive.
Yeah.
And so the badge means so much more than the badge. And to bring it back in a way that we can do some good and raise some money for the charity, fantastic. But it's not about the Firefighters charity, because I would do it for any charity. If the ambulance service want me to do their hoodies, I'll make their hoodies happily. If the air ambulance want to, and they've actually already approached me, absolutely, I'll do it.
So this is just the how, isn't it? So when we talk about why, I mean, have you read Finding Your Why?
Simon Sinek.
Do you know what I mean? A fantastic book, and he speaks a lot about your why is that sort of moral compass, that one thing that keeps you driving. The how, it's the idea of like strategy versus tactics. Do you know what I mean? The why is the big, colossal purpose that drives forward, but the how can change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So if you're trying to bring pride into the emergency services as a whole, or fire service, the how can be many ways. It could be a sporting activity, it could be a logo, it could be a brand, it could be getting together for a community event, but the why. And that's what I hear so much when you speak about the hoodies and the badge and all the work that you do, I think.
So the why is not just about the fire service. The why is about helping the people that help you. And that's in every way. So by helping the charity, we're helping you. By bringing you pride back, we're helping you. By bringing that feeling back into a service, we're helping the whole service, which helps you.
Yeah, which helps the public.
Yeah.
Because, many services do a lot of that, but the emergency services is different. I mean, it's obviously different to any corporate brand or anything like that, but it stands for something in the communities. It stands for moral good and a source of help for children, for old people, for vulnerable people, for anything like that. It's such a USP in what we do. And if we're not careful, the people that are behind that will lose the passion with it. They've not lost it yet, and we hope they never will. But we're seeing a lot of people come and leave. Some services are struggling with the recruitment in the UK, and I think many, many small aspects of this will come back to that core of why are we here? Why are we here?
It's quite guttural.
Yes, absolutely.
And it drives to the core of us about what we are as human beings and how we operate. In my opinion, the whole recruitment process needs to be looked at of how we attract our people, what people we're attracting, the values that we apply. How do we use those? Are they appropriate? Are they verbs? Are they doing words? What do they actually mean? You've got the behaviours framework that values tie into. Well, if our values tie into that and so do your values, but we've got different values, well, it's not the values that's the issue, is it?
Yeah.
So let's go to the behaviour framework and let's apply that.
Yeah.
If I need you to tell me how to be a decent human being,
we've lost something somewhere.
We're missing it.
Yeah. Do you think this is something that is particularly an issue in the UK? Because I look at, we've had firefighters on the podcast and other members of emergency services from, say, America or Canada. And the American fire service, just use the fire service as an example, very, very passionate in a very different way. And the community pride that's associated with it, they will have it on their vehicles, and they can wear their clothing when they're off duty.
Yeah.
And they may even have it displayed on their own home. Do you know, it's a very different pride aspect. And even with their flag, and is this a UK thing, do you think, or?
It's almost uncool to be proud of your job, isn't it?
You know what? I don't think it's not just your job as well, though, because like if this was, it's not a for-profit organisation, but somebody else runs a business privately, and they were having a fantastic year, and they said, hey, Phil, you know, he met up with him after 6 months. He said, hey, dude, how's the new business going? And he said, fantastic. You know, we've just turned over £100,000 in our first 2 months. Some people would go, ugh, ego, ugh, you know, that's. Whereas in America, not necessarily America, but in other cultures, they might go, wow, well done, Phil. That's awesome. High five. Well done, you.
They celebrate success.
Yeah. Why do we struggle with that sometimes?
We're British.
We're British. I don't know. You know, come on now. British has been proud. We have had our proud moments, and we have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, culturally, sort of UK-wide, it's almost frowned upon to be proud of your achievements. People look down on you. It's
the old misery loves company as well. If you're proud, we almost like pride comes before a fall. You know, well, hang on a minute. How do I be proud then? How do I show success and not feel guilty for it?
It's bad manners to talk about your money, how much money you've got.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Who on earth said that?
And what does that do? That breeds a culture where we can't talk about money, and therefore people can't have the conversations that help them to get, you know, wealthier.
And without getting too much into money, because life's not all about money, but I always talk to people, look, money's just an enabler. It's just a doing thing. Yeah. But people have all sorts of connotations of money. Money's evil. Money's just a thing. When I think of money, I think of it provides horses for me and my family to go and do things with. It will pay for a holiday. I don't see it as having power over somebody else or anything like that. It's just an enabler. If I can get more of it, I can do more cool things.
Yeah. But it also doesn't stop you doing cool things.
No, very true.
So if you don't
it's
have
not
the
essential.
money,
No.
you can still look at stuff and go, oh, there's another way that I can achieve that. And whether that's through bartering, I'll do this for you if you do that for me, or just finding
which is
another way
effectively all money is when you think about the origin of money.
Yeah.
It was just I promised to pay the lender on demand X.
Exactly.
We just decided that this thing, we're all agree this thing's got value, right?
Yeah.
It could have been silver, it could have been rocks. I mean, in certain cultures, it was camels, it was horses, it was whatever, or it was, Phil, you come dig a well for me, and I'll take you on my cart up to Manchester.
You run a training session for me, I'll give you a hoodie.
There we go. This is how it's done.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't actually need money.
No,
Money's
absolutely.
a fallacy. Obviously, it does help you achieve certain things, but it's not the be-all and end-all at all.
No, it's just something that I forget who said it. You know, they said, man made money, and then money made man mad. It became this strange thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's not all about the money, is what we're getting to.
Well,
it's about trying to deliver. Yeah, it's trying to deliver the why. It just so happens that one of the processes that all of the profits goes to the Firefighters charity, and that's one way in which this is really empowering people. So take me back to your time in the service, because you've been in for 28?
Yeah, 28 and
a half years now, and you're currently a station manager in the UK.
Yep.
What was it like when you first joined? Because we're talking about today and how pride and things is now, but 28 years ago, was it a similar picture or?
It was completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah, I think, you know, when I first joined, firstly, I never wanted to be in the fire service.
Really? Okay.
I applied for a joke. And then just saw
Did you get in first time?
Yeah.
Wow.
The process took 2 years, but I just saw each stage of that process as a bit of a challenge of, you know, wonder if I can, wonder if that will work.
I'll go and have a go, yeah.
Yeah, and then I got in, and your probation, that's a bit of a challenge, see if I can get through that. And then your fully qualified exam at the time, let's do that. And then, I'm a bit bored now, let's go for promotion.
But even, so you said like the first bit of getting in is 2 years, and I think that's very similar now. People's development maybe about 18 months long, maybe a little bit longer before they can find themselves operational on a station.
Yeah.
For some people, that's too long now.
Yeah.
Patience and perseverance and you know, having that commitment to hold strong with a pursuit of a goal is becoming also quite a rare thing. We're kind of an instant gratification society now.
Completely. To me, this is all about setting yourself challenges, setting yourself goals and things to achieve. Now, at the time, the fire service didn't really hold anything for me because I never wanted to be in. It was just the challenges of, I wonder if I could.
Okay.
And it's very much a psychological thing, I think, of stepping stones and setting yourself these goals.
Yeah.
And then once you're in, you go, all right, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
This, you know, I've still spent my life looking for ways to change the world.
Yeah.
You know, someone asked me a few years ago, you know, what do you really want to do? I thought, well, I want to change the world. And you're like, well, what does that actually mean? What does that look like? You know, it doesn't have to be Prime Minister, President, or whatever. It can be.
There's lots of ways to change it.
I can change the world of one individual, and that has a knock-on effect and changes the world, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's easy. It's actually easy.
Yeah. If we all just did that,
yeah.
I mean, if we all just tried to look after ourselves a little bit better, if you looked after you and everybody looked after themselves a little bit more, then we'd be in a better position to look after everybody else.
Completely.
If we all just did that, rather than finger pointing, comparing, and all that sort of stuff. That's where I think a lot of the challenges come from.
So we're coming back to culture again, aren't we?
Absolutely, full circle.
Looking after your people. And your people is everything. We're not here to serve politicians. We're not here to serve senior managers. We're here to serve the people, servant leadership. And that, I think, is key to restoring the culture of the fire service.
So when you joined, did you find it more of a servant leadership versus a dictatorship or like a laissez-faire approach that we see sometimes in pockets of the fire service today?
Looking back on it, had quite a militaristic approach to it.
Okay.
You couldn't call officers by their first names. Everyone was...
it was like that when I came through training school as well. And I liked it because that's kind of how I was raised.
And I really liked it as well.
My dad, always said to me, he says, meet somebody you don't know who they are. Morning, sir.
Yeah.
He says, it doesn't matter if you don't know them. It doesn't matter if they're younger than you. It doesn't really matter.
It's a sign of respect.
It is absolutely a sign of respect. And you can't get respect till you give it. We all know that.
Yeah.
But why have we stopped doing it?
Well, I think it's seeped in slowly, isn't it, over the years, chipped away, and it comes in with where you have officers come in and go, oh, no, don't call me that, call me Phil, it's fine, it's no problem at all. And then they start friending you on Facebook, and then they start knowing about your life, and there's the delineation between life and work.
The lines got blurred a
completely.
lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think some of it came in off the back of one or two, because always the old analogy of one bad apple spoils the bunch and all that sort of stuff. Do you think it ever came in off the back? Because I've certainly seen it. Bullying and harassment sometimes still exists now in pockets within our communities, and it should be sought out, challenged, and eradicated wherever possible. However, sometimes when something gets on the back of that, i.e. we try and create more familiarity, we try and lower the walls, we try and lower the barriers, now I feel like something else has snuck in, and all of a sudden we're far too laid back at times, and it's come at the cost of a little bit of professionalism, a little bit of standards of dress, or standards of operational capability and commitment to personal development. All of that's kind of slipped a bit.
Completely. And, we've done several surveys of our watches over the years and said, what do you want to bring back? And they want to bring back the badge, they want to bring back the discipline, they want to bring back the pride. And it all goes hand in hand, I think. The discipline and the pride, I think, is brother and sister, essentially.
When people hear the word discipline, though, I mean, some people might have that, and negative connotations come along with discipline. If I said, I want you to be more disciplined, how do you think that's coming across to people? Because I think discipline brings a lot of great things with it, a lot of great things. I'm incredibly disciplined in my life, both in my nutrition, my training, my commitment to my role, my children, all that sort of stuff. But when you say discipline, it's hard for some people to find a positive in that.
Were you born disciplined, or did you learn it?
I would most definitely learnt it.
Right. So
yeah, definitely learnt it.
And do you find that as a good thing in your life?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Oh man, that is the biggest game changer in anything that I do. And I'm not the best at many things, but I struggle to find many people willing to work as hard and as consistent as I am.
Yeah.
That I'm not necessarily the most talented, the biggest, the strongest, the fastest, the most intelligent, or anything like that. But in terms of personal disciplines and resolve to stick to a path, I'm very proud of my ability to do that.
So discipline is a good thing.
Most definitely.
So then it's just about how you apply it.
Absolutely.
And what levels, and you've got to be careful in terms of bullying. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's about setting out your stall when you start your recruitment process. Yeah. This is the kind of service that we are. And we apply discipline for a reason, because essentially we're putting you into a situation where you could lose your life. And we do not want that to happen. So you will do as you're told. Mm-hmm. And there's very good reason for that. I've been doing this for 28 years. You've been doing this for 2 years. There's a degree of experience that I've gained that will save your life. Yeah. And you'll do as you're told. And you've got to not question that at the time. By all means, question it afterwards and understand and learn from it. No problem at all. And while we're training. But there has to be a role in the emergency services for discipline.
So for people that think that actually I'm perfectly capable of looking after myself, I suppose there's also the other aspect that I'm also entrusting you that you may or may not be in a position to save somebody else's life, or the person stood beside you.
Completely.
And I think that's it's different than perhaps a lot of jobs out there. Not to diminish what other people do, but a job in like a retail sector, it's very important, very essential to the economy. But a misjudgment will not necessarily have the same ramification of a human life.
If you get it wrong, the outcomes are completely different, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I say, do you think that's one of the big factors that we've forgotten a little bit? I mean, fire deaths in a good way have come down over the years. We experienced one only very recently in Leicestershire, but they have come down. So is there anything there that people think is less important? Because
that's the trouble, isn't it? That, you know, probably when I joined, probably not even then actually, to be fair, you had more calls of a serious nature. So the community work that we've done has been brilliant in terms of driving that down.
Kind of victim of your own success, though, aren't you?
Exactly, because you become relaxed.
Yeah.
You think, well, that doesn't apply. You know, we go out to false alarms all the time. You know, we deal with kind of low risk stuff, no problem. And then you get the high risk one, that it does matter.
Yeah.
And that's where the discipline comes in.
And that might not come until they're like 3 or 4 years in their career now. You know, when I joined 12, 13 years ago, we were up around a couple of thousand calls a year. Now, mid-hundreds, low hundreds sometimes. So you might be well past your development and still you've not worn an operational house fire.
And so to me, that's more dangerous, you know, both in terms of your exposure to that risk and in terms of your exposure to the discipline that goes with it. And the ability for us to control the incident in such a way that ensures that everyone is safe.
What do you think has been some of the highlights across your career when you talk about keeping people safe? And you're obviously at a station manager role now, but you've come through the firefighter, crew manager, watch manager pathway. Yeah. What have been some of the highlights as you've moved through the different levels? The highlights to me are always about the people. It's always about where I've influenced somebody and you can see them taken off in their career. That you've had an incident where you've had a successful outcome, but you've gone over and above. You've not just put the fire out, you've gone in there and cleared up and tied up, or you've done something extra for them, contacted their family and all the rest of it, where you've gone over and above. It's all about the human connection for me. And I suppose the hardest bit for me on promotion is that you become further and further removed away from the coalface, from the incident. From the people, yeah.
So even if I'm incident commander, I could be back on the command unit, and I'm not seeing the results of our actions face to face, and you don't see the look on the people's face that you're helping. To me, that's one of the hardest things of the promotion process.
How do you think, as people go through different levels of promotion, what's been, because you obviously still have a strong passion for that, so how have you sustained that versus perhaps someone else at your rank or higher who may also hear what you're saying there and feel slightly disassociated with the outcome of the work that they're doing? How have you managed to sustain that?
Through volunteering.
Tough for people to do that sometimes?
Yeah, completely.
Within everybody's capability, but not everybody does it. So
it's about your priorities, isn't it? And what you want to achieve from your life. And like we said before about making decisions that follow your aim, where you want to be, what you want to leave this world with, what legacy do you want to leave? Yeah. And I want to make a difference. I'm here to make a difference, there's no question. And if in my current role I feel that part of me's missing, then it's up to me to find something that fills it. Right. And so I volunteer for a disaster relief charity, and I go out and I do the stuff to help people in the event of a disaster. We went out to the Virgin Gorda in the Caribbean after Hurricane Irma.
Did you?
And help
rebuild.
See,
I'm still waiting for my diploma. I'm a member of the International Search and Rescue. And again, a volunteer thing, you don't get paid any more for it, but I'm still waiting for that. And we've had a number of, not that I'm wishing ill on anybody and that we don't want natural disasters to occur, but I also think about this when I think about the fire service in general, that these things are going to happen. Yeah. So don't stand there, you know, when somebody goes, what's your favourite job? And I go, oh yeah, we had a great fatal 4-car, whatever. And people, oh really, Pete? Oh, that's not very nice, is it? Because somebody's died. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but these things are going to happen. There are going to be natural disasters. Yeah. Somebody needs to be there when this happens. And I'm excited about the opportunity of being the person that could be there. Completely. Because somebody's going to get an opportunity to make a real difference. And that could be you. That could be me.
I'm often asked, why do you do it? And the reason is, why wouldn't I? Because I can. I have the capability. There's somebody that needs help. I'm able to help. Why on earth wouldn't I?
Yeah. And I've got a skill set. I'm in an opportunity to do it. Why would I not seek that opportunity? Yeah. Wonderful. I wanted to ask you about the key attributes that you see in your role now. You spoke about being slightly distanced from the front line, and a lot of our listeners vary, obviously, in their rank and their how they contribute. What are the key differences now? So versus like a firefighter when they come in, it might be attention to detail and operational competence. As you move through, and you spoke a little bit about leadership capabilities, how do you change your key attributes, and what do you think difference is from yourself to, say, a firefighter that comes in? Because the why is probably still very similar. Yeah. But the how now has to be through others because you're not necessarily on the front line yourself. Yeah. I suppose the answer to that is don't change. Don't change. Don't change. So the reason you're getting promoted is because of who you are. Mm-hmm. It's
it comes back to the how and the what and the why again. It's not about what skills you've got, because skills can be learned. It's about who you are as an individual and what you bring to the party that nobody else does. And so, you know, I suppose the key thing for promotion that I've learned is to manage my time. You know, the life of a station manager and above is so busy, but the important stuff is your people. Yeah. And so you have to make time for the people and prioritise that work. And that's really, really challenging to do at times. Really challenging.
How do you prioritise the differences between your senior leaders and or line managers, what they believe is a priority versus, because you've sort of spoken a little bit in and around top down versus bottom up leadership. You're there to serve those not beneath you, but you know, you're to serve those in your team, remove barriers, create opportunities, empower them with the right tools to do it. You can hear, if you visit across some fire stations, the yes man analogy of, well, they're just trying to tick boxes for the people above, and they feel like they're not listened to. How have you shifted that balance?
So for me, if you look at the traditional structure chart, and you've got the chief at the top, and it filters out like a Christmas tree with the troops at the bottom, if you like, turn that on its head. Okay. So the chief and everybody above the chief or below the chief essentially should be supporting the troops on the ground. That's how it should be. That's servant leadership. So if we enable you to do your job, then you do our job. Yeah. And that's all it is simplify everything. Nothing's rocket science. Of what are we here to do? Why are we here? How do we achieve it? And it's just simple. Yeah. It's not rocket science.
Love it. So when we look at the fire services across the UK, because obviously you work with a lot of West Sussex, but as you've started this Helping Hoodies, you've had a lot of people reach out to you. Yeah. What have been sort of the common traits, either government imposed or fire service led? What are the big challenges that the UK fire services are facing at the moment?
I think it's about filtering out all the noise, all the white noise, and coming back to what we do that nobody else can do. So, you know, it's what we've spoken about all along, is why are we here? What is it that we bring to the party that nobody else can? And let's be really, really, really good at that. And, you know, if you look at what our statutory responsibilities are and what we must achieve, to me, in recent years, those have gone on the back burner. Okay. If you look at our priorities in terms of training, operational experience, all those sort of stuff, I think we've swung too far the other way in terms of if you have a full day at work and you have school visits to do, you have community fire safety checks to do, and you have training to do, and you get a couple of calls coming, training's the first thing that falls off the list.
Really? Is that what you see?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, it's the easiest thing to drop. Yeah. And, you know, particularly when you, again...
Because it doesn't tick a box, I suppose, in a certain aspect, or...
Well, you don't have specific targets on it as such. You've got to complete your training
maintain
programs.
Competency.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. But you've got to do, I don't know, 20 home fire safety checks. Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the month, if you
That's a metric with a number. Yeah. I can see if you haven't done that or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you're insufficient in a training competency, I may not know for years until we come across an incident and you hurt yourself or you hurt somebody else. Yeah. And then we say, but we haven't done enough training. How say we haven't been doing enough training? And they go, well, you've maintained your competency.
So what's the thing that's going to keep you out of court is your training. The first thing they're going to call upon is your training records. And if they're not up to date, justify why. And I had to do a home fire safety check. Doesn't cover it. No. And
when you think back to your own training, what was the most enjoyable part for you when you think about your basic training?
Well, we used to do live carry downs.
Did you really?
Yeah, we used to do live carry downs, and I'm not going to say they're the most enjoyable, but they're certainly the most character building.
We've only ever done them before where you effectively got somebody in the middle of the ladder, and they would almost sit their legs around you, and you would carry them down like that. But were you still doing the?
So we were up in the third floor of the tower. Yeah. You'd pick somebody up on your shoulders, climb up onto the sill. Wow. Out over the sill, and down you go.
Crikey.
With an Everest device on it, which is like a bungee cord, so you'd hit the ground several times if you fell.
Yeah. Nice. What was the weight of the casualties when you were doing them back then?
Oh, they were picking people in the course who were roughly the same as what you were.
Oh, see, it was a live carry down.
Oh yeah, we wasn't a dummy. No, we did it for each other. So
Wow.
you took a turn at being the casualty and the carrier.
Yeah. So when we think about manual handling and stuff like that, people might hear that and cringe now.
Yeah,
but
quite right.
yeah, quite rightly so. But at the end of the day, you may still come across this as an operational requirement. We don't train it in our service.
No, we don't anymore.
And we ask that, no matter the life demand or whatever, it's not worth you hurting yourself. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
But when you talk fireman's lift now, it doesn't exist. And, that's one of the things that people associate with us doing.
And all the parachute knots and...
Knots and lines was absolutely one of my favourites.
Yeah.
When we talk about some of the training that the fire service do in the UK, what do you think have been some of the big changes? So I look at some of the terrorism work and things like that.
Yeah.
The role of a firefighter now is far more fire and rescue, not just firefighting.
Well, I never expected to have a bulletproof vest in the back of my car.
Crikey, yeah. So as the sort of NILO instant liaison officers or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
They're the bulletproof ones that you dress in purple as well.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got as a NILO and as a MTFA4 commander.
Yes.
So
marauding terrorist firearms commander,
right.
isn't it? Yeah. That is absolutely a new dimension to it. What was the training like going through that?
Thoroughly enjoyable, if I'm honest. It's good fun. The best training's fun, isn't it? If you're enjoying it, then
absolutely.
You're learning.
Yeah.
And you don't forget it.
I love rope rescue, and this week I've got a swiftwater rescue. That is just amazing. You're floating on your back in Wales or whatever, going down a river, and you're like, I get paid to do this.
Yeah.
People would have to pay for a day out with an event company to do this, and I get to jump in and out of rapids.
That's my favourite course of all.
Oh my God, it is an absolute scream, isn't it?
Yeah.
And people don't realise this. When they think about being the fire service, this is why I think we struggle with recruitment, because people aren't sure what the job is anymore.
Do you think we struggle with recruitment? I don't think we do. We don't whole time retain. We do.
Yes, certainly with retained sectors in the brigade that I'm in, they definitely struggle with recruitment. Whole time I don't think they struggle with recruitment. I think they struggle with retention.
Yes, and why is that?
From my experience, there has been a lack of consistency with the development programs as they come in. What is expected of them? How is their pay going to be slowly progressed?
Yeah.
When do I reach competency or not competency? I think with changes in national operational standards and personal qualities and attributes and how people achieve their NOGs and things like that, has been a lot of changes, which I think has been confusing and disengaging for some people.
And do you think they're applying for the job as it is now, as it was 20 years ago?
I don't know. I want to think they're applying for what they believed it was, and what they've been told it was. But I think for some communities, so we struggle sometimes with diversity and equality. We try and recruit people that are a reflection of the communities that we serve, which means that there are underrepresented groups from perhaps different races, different religions, different sexes or something like that. But I don't think it's necessarily that these people aren't being told about this. It's that I don't believe it is as much of an appealing role for them. And I have many friends from different religions, like that. Their parents don't necessarily see the fire service as a career that they would be proud of. And I feel quite sad when I hear that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if you look at how things have changed in the last 20, 30 years, that, when I joined, we had one female firefighter in the county, and we've got dozens now. And
your chief is a female.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Absolutely. The honest truth is we should have far more female leaders. Absolutely. They're far better at it than men.
Okay, interesting.
Well, simply because men react to things. You put me a problem in front of me and I'll react to it and I'll fix it.
Yeah.
My other half is forever telling me, stop trying to fix what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Just listen.
I just want to talk to you.
Yeah. Stop fixing it.
Yeah.
And if you put a female leader in charge, they're already 2 steps ahead.
Okay.
They're already fixing what's going to happen, not what's happening right in front of them.
Okay.
Is my experience of how that works.
So do you believe we need a greater balance, or is this a skill set that men can develop, or is it more active nurture. Listening, or is it nature nurture?
Yeah, that's a really tough question actually. I don't know. I think it probably comes down to the individuals. I think we have an absolute raft of incredibly talented female firefighters in the UK fire service, and I think they're underrepresented at senior levels. That's changing. It is changing without a shadow of a doubt. And I also think that this will will change for ethnic minorities, other religions, and all the rest of it. It's not a quick fix.
No.
And I think
cultural change is like 10 years.
We've fallen into that trap in the past, I think, of, right, we need to recruit more women. Let's
knee-jerk reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you get all pressured that you're going to, change the standards. And
and that's what I mean. You try desperately to change a metric immediately, and the quick way to do that is to lower the standard.
Yeah.
And some services have used that as an approach, but in doing so, you can then accidentally have some people slip through the net that with the lower standard came a lower level of self-discipline, like we spoke about earlier, a lower acceptance of what's expected of you and things like that.
But it's also acceptance of the rest of the staff that have had to go through at a higher level. They think you've got the easy route in.
That's it, yeah.
Which is no fault of theirs.
No, absolutely not, yeah.
But to me, it's all come back to culture again.
Yeah.
Of change the culture, make the job more attractive to those other groups, and it will solve itself.
So coming back full circle to talk about developing cultures, what holds in the future for Helping Hoodies? I know this is only one of the ways in which you reach out to people. So West Sussex, obviously you've graced the Firefighters podcast. We've got one. It's a fantastic one. I think we're going to order a few more for the team. Yeah. How is this moving forward now? You said you've been contacted by people outside of the fire service.
So I sold my first hoodie on the 5th of August.
Okay.
So this is expanded rather rapidly, far greater than I ever thought it would. So I'm having to think on my feet as to where it's going.
Which is the best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Improvise, adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
Fire service motto.
So my original plan was just to provide West Sussex, because that's where my immediate impact can be.
What was the reception like there? Because I first saw it from your chief. Yeah. So Sabrina shared something on one of the pages, West Sussex pages, and I thought, wow, that's great that they've allowed a company to come in and support the fire service. Yeah. Knowing that it was born from within was even nicer to see. Yeah,
absolutely.
So the first project was there.
And the reception from West Sussex has been really good, actually. And, they're still consistently buying a decent supply of hoodies. My original cash flow forecast was that West Sussex would quickly peter out, but they haven't. Yeah. So currently we supply West Sussex, Kent, Warwickshire, the first ones to come on board. We have a number of others that have signed up. We're hopefully going to announce a couple more this week, probably.
Now, for people that are listening who are passionate about the fire service, because there's many people who have either left the fire service or, like my wife, she comes and supports me when I do British Firefighter Challenge and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Are these available to non-service personnel, or is it specifically those who are just operational? Okay,
so these are available depending on each service. So each service may have its own opinion on who they want to provide it to. But from our point of view, we will support serving members, ex-members, support staff, and members of immediate family that enable us to do the work that we do. And it's all about enabling us to do the work we do.
And I suppose within the services, that only really applies to those which demonstrate the badge of that service.
Yes,
anybody can buy Helping Hoodies and support the greater good of your work and the Firefighters charity and things like that. They're accessible to everybody.
Well, at the moment we don't have a public store, so that's in the pipeline.
Come on, Phil.
I know.
Get your finger out, man. Come on.
So one of the challenges we've had is a technical challenge of we've password protected our store to provide that assurance and that security to the services that are releasing their badge.
Understandable.
Because we don't want undesirables wearing their badge and using it for nefarious means.
Yes, because that has been an issue. Yeah. I remember when you couldn't buy any more fire pumps anymore. You couldn't buy any fire things because they had the whole Trojan horse things and concerns that people of ill nature and ill intentions were getting them for various reasons.
So we want to provide a bit of that security, and we're actually being sponsored by Microsoft now.
Okay.
So they're building us a website.
How did they get involved?
Long story.
Which is just wonderful, though, to see large companies like that and somebody, you and I, with all due respect, we're rarely insignificant in the wide scheme of things. We're just bumbling around trying to do a good deed. Yeah. So to see a big company like that reach out is incredible.
Well, I have a friend that works for Microsoft. Yep. And I phoned her up for advice on our HAIX website and how on earth do I do this?
So I'm fumbling with this. I'm trying to do a good thing and I'm struggling. I'm wrestling with technology here.
And she said, I might have a solution for you. Leave it with me. Yeah. And we had another conversation. It was about, okay, well, Microsoft will sponsor you, help you build it.
That's incredible. Yeah. Because if you've got something really good to do, it's such a shame if you just can't package it and show people how to do it in the best way possible.
So they're going to use us as a case study.
Wonderful.
Because what we want to provide is a password protected store for every service. Mm-hmm. so that you haven't all got the same password. You can then determine who it goes out to, and you can have.
Which for somebody like Microsoft is relatively low grade stuff. They can idiot proof. They can do that.
I know.
They'll nail it.
Yeah.
Which is great to have a sport.
I've had to get 2 of our younger members of staff to help me build the website in the first place and do all the tech
Which
stuff,
is good.
Which is great.
That's what we're talking about teams, isn't it?
And they've been superb. I'd have been stuffed without them if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And they'll answer the phone late at night on a Sunday. They're on it all the time. So
That's
they're
incredible.
really, really good. So in terms of where we're going next, I think I've got 6, maybe 7 services that have already agreed and signed up now that we haven't released. So what we do is we get permission from the Chief Fire Officer to use the badge, and then we get the image of the badge from the service, and we'll create samples. And once we've created the samples, we get those approved, and then we put them on the website. And so we're in that kind of middle ground process before we put them on the website first, and then we'll announce them.
Well, obviously, I wear yours with immense pride, and I know we've got 2 Chief Fire Officers that you've not mentioned coming on the podcast in the next few weeks. So I will be demonstrating this and most definitely waving it emphatically in their faces. Fantastic. In the nicest and most respectful possible way. And as soon as they hear that, no, it's not just a Pete Wakefield idea, this is somebody intelligent actually come up with this, and they're doing it quite well, and they've got a proper website and everything. Hopefully we'll be able to push that even further.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. The plan is to supply the whole of the UK.
And further afield, perhaps.
Well, perhaps, yeah. And then diversify away from hoodies, perhaps we'll do some sportswear and stuff like that as well.
Whatever it may be. We need to get in contact with British Firefighter Challenge. That's the next step as well.
They've already made contact.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
John Gregory's all over it. Love that guy.
Yeah, he's great.
Phil, thank you for coming on the show today, brother.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate it, and keep doing the powerful work, my man.
Thank you very much.
I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers.
That's it, brother.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, there we have it, ladies and gents. That was Phil Maynard. Pretty awesome, right? Pretty impressive. A wealth of knowledge from the fire service. Quite the interesting fellow. I really enjoyed that one, guys. It was a really, really great chat. Even when we came off air, Phil and I continued to discuss the depth of interest and love that we have for the fire service. We feel like it's so important to get this love back. That's what the Firefighters Podcast is all about, and finding people like Phil who are trying to bring that pride alive again, and really appreciate the incredible people we have in our UK fire services. He's got like 4 or 5 now, even since our chat. Fire services on board who are going to give their time, give their money, give their badge to this incredible brand and support the Firefighters charity. Thank you for listening in. Hope you're keeping good. Hope you're staying optimistic. Look after yourself, look after your family, look after each other. Support your emergency services. I will see you very, very soon. Thank you for coming by. Hope you took some value from it. Stay safe now.